In another life, I've been involved in quite a bit of fishing television. Had a lot of fun making it, had a lot of fun catching the fish. But there's one show you probably haven't seen. Steve Starling and I did it. It's called Hooked on Adventure. We did 42 episodes all over the country, had an absolute ball making it with no money. I reckon if you have a look at it now, you'll get a laugh.
Bushy, me, a few mates, a boat, several vehicles and a couple of tons of gear are headed north up the highway. There you go, Bushy, only 356 kilometres to Exmouth.
A mere stroll.
That's just a morning drive here in Western Australia, mate.
Yeah.
Now we're just about to cross the mighty Gascoyne River. I think you're going to be impressed with this.
One of the biggest rivers around here.
Oh, definitely the biggest river in this area.
Yeah, we might have a bit of a swim.
Yeah, maybe not. Cheers, mate.
That's the mighty Gascoyne River. That's a Gascoyne sandhill. It's not a river.
They tell me this river's only got two forms like this, almost dry or an absolute raging torrent. Pretty typical of Western Australia, extremes. There's always plenty of wildlife around the roads up here, and they'll make a home anywhere, as you can see from this fantastic nest. Some of them don't appear too friendly either. But the big red roos are out at Exmouth to greet us, followed shortly after by Neil McLeod from Ningaloo Safaris. Neil's going to show us around a bit before we get down to some serious fishing. We start out not too far from town on one of the canyon roads up onto the Cape Range.
This is looking down Charles Knife Gorge here, old Charles Knife. Yeah.
This area was the site of one of the West's first oil discoveries back in the 1960s.
Yeah, look at that beautiful blue Gulf. That's just awesome.
So look, this was obviously cut by water, Neil, but you know, how much rain do you get here?
We can get 18 inches, 450 mils in 24 hours we got in Cyclone Katie in 64, you know.
Right.
And when you get that sort of water racing down there, it gouges away at that limestone and forms the gorges as you see them there, Steve, you know, like, and right down the bottom of the Exmouth Gulf, that's where you have all that mangrove country, you know.
The next spot on Neil's itinerary is Yardy Creek, and while we didn't get a bite, the real catch here is the scenery and the wildlife.
That's called actually the Western Black-footed Rock Wallaby. It's only a couple of areas they're found in Australia. They're found in the McDonnell Ranges in Central Australia, and they're found in this Cape Range area, but they have the real beautiful black markings on their face. Down their side, they have a black tail.
Now, you've all heard of the Crocodile Man. Well, introducing Goanna Man. See Goanna Man casually stalk his prey. Maybe I'll try the quick lunge. Maybe not. See the laughing Goanna outrunning the Goanna Man. See the Goanna Man give up the chase. Actually, the real reason I was running around in the scrub like a maniac was a shark.
Well, this is a spot we call Shark's Tooth Ridge, and it gets its name, you can see, from the big white pointed shark's tooth that sort of went across there. This has been broken off, but the museum told me that the size of it was about 10 metres long, Steve.
Well, these days, of course, 5 or 6 metres would absolutely pull up the white sharks that are living in the ocean at the moment. Mind you, I'm not all that distressed that Megalodon doesn't still swim in the ocean with me.
Even you would be a snack to something with a tooth.
Oh, yeah. A little wafer.
Yeah.
We're heading south from Exmouth to Woora Station and a place called 14 Mile Beach, inside Ningaloo Reef. As we arrived, the Tai Chi class was really cranking. It was all I could do to stop Bushy dragging his leotard out of the boat and joining in. After letting the tyres down to about 16 psi, it was finally time to get the cat wet.
Well, that launching was just too easy. Everything's been going too well so far, and Bushy got the wagon back up the beach without getting bogged. I'm impressed. Now, he thinks I'm just going to drive about 10 kilometres down the coast and meet him at the campsite. But I've taken one look at this blue water here outside the reef, and I've dug out the rod and reel, because there is no way I'm driving over that much water without trying to catch a fish. I've rigged it up with one of these Halco Laser Pro minnows. Nice strong minnow with a couple of big powerful treble hooks on it. Short length of single strand wire, because I'm sure there's going to be some bitey critters out here. And then I've got that connected to some 30 kilo mono leader, about 1.5 meters of that, back to my 20 kilo gel spun main line on my rod and reel here. So the first thing I'm going to do though, and what you should always do when you're going to troll, is just put your lure in the water at the side of the boat and just have a look at it to make sure it's tracking nice and straight. And probably the second mistake that a lot of people make when they're trolling is they think the further back they put the lure, the more fish they're going to catch. Not necessarily so. One of the best fish attractors you've got out here in this big expanse of water is the boat itself and the white water that's coming off the propeller. So I'm actually going to set this lure back probably only about 30 metres, about 100 feet on the old scale, just where those bubbles start to peter out, and hopefully lunch might find it.
My boat driver with the local knowledge is Marty Horak.
Out this way, Steve. Apparently there's a nice hole up here where there should be hopefully some Spanish mackerel.
Hey Marty, there's a couple of whales in front of us, mate. Fantastic. They're coming this way. 3 of them, I think. Oh!
Making sure we're well clear of the very big fish, we trolled through one of Marty's secret spots.
Right, just turn her out the tree and pull her out again. Beautiful. Trevally. Nice little gold spot trevally. Whoa, come on fella. Because we're on a bit of a meat harvesting exercise today, we'll keep him as well. We're going to be letting plenty of fish go over the next few days. So that little gold spot trevally will also cook up very nicely, especially at that size. They make great sashimi, most of these trevally, which is raw fish, just thinly sliced and dipped in a little soy sauce. And that's what we might do with that one. Our next trick was to get in through the narrow reef break to the beach camp at Woora. Something easier said than done. Well, Marty, it looks a bit hairy in there. There's a few big swells rolling through, but there is a gap. You reckon we'll give it a go or what?
Well, you're on the driver's seat, but I don't mind swimming.
Lovely. Oh well, here we go.
Good luck.
First, we needed to spot a path in through the waves.
That doesn't look like a break.
Just left a bit, it's a bit left on side.
As it turned out, it wasn't too hard, and before long I was back out at sea with Neil on board for a late arvo reef fishing session. Turns out Neil's a bit of a whiz with a hand line too.
Dark, is it or what? Whoa, nice spangly! Now that's a spangled emperor. Look at that.
Oh, we got tea.
Have we ever? Mate, you've done well. Look at that in the late afternoon light. Well, I'll tell you what, Neil doesn't only run the best tours out of Exmouth and have the best boiled fruitcake. He's not a bad fisherman, is he? Well done, mate.
After the break, a feeding and fishing frenzy. Next morning I left Bushy and the others on shore and headed out through the break to try and catch a few early feeders.
Whoa! Here we go. Who knows? There's all kinds of things out here in these waters. Lots of vibrations on the line, so it's a fish with a fast tail beat. It could well be a tuna. Here we go, here's my fish. And he's a nice mackerel tuna or kawa. Gee, I tell you what, he put up a fight for his size. And he's come in absolutely exhausted. He fought very, very hard. Look at that, he's nailed that big halco. This is one of the new halcos. They're a super deep diving lure. Whoa! Still got a little bit of life in him. They reckon they go down to, and that's the lure out. They reckon they dive down to about 8 metres, those lures, and they probably do on an optimum low-speed troll. I'm trolling them fairly quickly, so they wouldn't be getting that deep, but I tell you what, it's getting more strikes than any other lure that I'm using, so it's certainly working. I'll bleed this guy over the side.
Because these waters are not overfished, don't be surprised at anything out here. The next thing I bumped into
Don't fall in.
was the marine food chain in overdrive.
We found one of the famous feeding frenzies that this part of the coast is so renowned for. There's a big mass of bait fish, probably anchovies here, with some very, very large whaler sharks feeding on them. And all around is just a carpet of cobia or black kingfish that are also swimming with this group. Lures in the water. Oh, golden trevally. There's a heap of golden trevally. I've got a big golden trevally. Oh, look, the water's just gold with golden trevally. And the sharks are into it, and the sharks are lying on their side and going through the frenzy. Look how thickly packed those bait fish are. They're absolutely terrified, and I'm not surprised. They're getting severely chewed on. There was probably twice as many an hour ago, and these fish will just keep hammering them until there are absolutely none left. They will eat every one of these little anchovies. Golden trevally is all lit up in bright gold. Mate, it's your lucky day with all these cobia around. I'm not going to keep a golden trevally. What I've got to be careful here is that the shark doesn't come over and just try and woof this golden trevally while I've got it right beside the boat. It's too close to my hands for comfort. In fact, considering that, I might actually lift this bloke inboard for a second. Just put him down here on the floor. And unhook him that way, because I don't like having my hands in that water one little bit. Steady, mate. Fibreless hooks, they should come out fairly easily, but it's got such rubbery lips. Nice golden, very fat. Oh, there's mackerel in there too. Okay, I'll show you how quick it is to get a hook up here. Got a cobia, and it's a nice cobia. Oh, this is just too good. One of the most exciting bits of fishing I've seen. This is a very nice cobia. I think this is the biggest one yet. He's gone crazy. He's in the death spirals. It's all wrapped up in the leader. No! The trouble is, when he comes unwrapped, he'll probably be unhooked. He is so wrapped up in the line. These are crazy fish. That's a nice fish. Now that is not a bad fish. That one is really going to make Bushy jealous. I think that'll do me. I'm just going to watch now. You can't keep away from this bushman. He's commandeered a local little dinghy and he's come out to join me. Wait till he sees what I've been doing to his rod. Hey, Bushy! Hey, Bushy!
That much backing.
Well, we were the Good Samaritans today. This man here, John, has decided to come out and show Stevie the right way to get back through the reef. It's a really good thing, so I bummed the ride. I thought there was too many birds out here. I don't like to leave starlings near too many birds because we all know that means fish. So we've commandeered the boat and the fly rod, and something big's eating the fly. Woo! Well done. Whoa, thank you. Well, the pilot boat's arrived. Just out of the goodness of our hearts, we'll take you in now, boys.
On the way back, Bushy joined me aboard the Webster, and he's going to show us one of his favourite things.
Even though we're all the way over here in Western Australia, and I come from way over east, I bring my trusty CV600L Furuno colour sounder. This unit normally stays in my boat scuppers, but I just can't bear to be parted from it when I come somewhere that I really need to catch fish. So we got the brackets built into the boat, and I brought the unit with me. And it's got one of the very best automatic functions that any sounder ever has had or probably will have. We've got a whole pile of anchovies here. If I can just find a couple for you, I'll show you how they show up on the sounder. Now we've got wall-to-wall bait. Have a look at that. Woohoo! And we'll get off this bait. That's it. As soon as we've got off the bait, we're back onto that hard bottom again. You can also probably see it's covered in scales if you look really hard. These things take a beating and they still function very well. So there you have it. CV600L, it's a fantastic unit.
Bushy likes his toys, and we'll be bringing you more right stuff throughout the series. We'll also show you some of the other cobia, longtail tuna, trevally, barracuda and other goodies that we caught on this memorable day.
Oh, mate, not a bad day. Especially when the support team comes out.
Now, anyone can catch fish, but when you can get into the action at the last minute on the pretense of the guide to get inside, that's a good day.
He's done it again. I thought I'd finally gotten rid of him to get out and have a fish on my own, and he turns up in a little tinny. Pretty good result, that. Mate, we're going to feed the camp tonight.
You a beauty. Well, I'll eat this one.
Chuck him in the boat and head off.
Right after the break, some simple camp cooking.
Tonight, we're going to cook for you Neil McLeod's damper extraordinaire. Now, come on Neil, we've all heard about this damper. How do you make it?
Well, the first thing in Bushy, you need one of these. You need to sift the flour. If you
Yeah.
don't sift the flour, it doesn't come out the same, mate.
Now, I don't know whether this is the real Ridgy-Didge Bushman's sifter, is it? Have a look at it. I reckon you pinched that off your mum.
Well, Mum's pretty handy, aren't they? Righto, Bushy, all we need you to do, pour that in there, keep it going, go if you like, keep it going, mate. That's the way. We sift it like that, we go, pour it, right? That's great, okay? You need a good pinch of salt in a good damper. And what they do down here, on special occasions at Warren, you whack in a few of these raisins, you see? Put a few of those in, like that. We got them in. Then you need a bit of water, not too much water. No. And you've got to, need that, you need that spoon. And we get into it, you see? Now, hold on with that water because you don't need too much of it.
Doesn't trust me with the water.
Yeah, a little bit more, mate.
A little bit. Now, if it gets runny, you're in trouble with it.
You're in big trouble.
We don't want big trouble.
Now, Bushy, we got a little bit of that flour left.
Yes, we have.
Just whack it on that board there, mate. Whack
Okay.
a bit of flour on there. Yeah, that's great, mate. That's great. And we just go like that. Yeah, we go like that. And you just knead it a bit, you know. Okay, as you can see, that's finished as far as the kneading goes. Can you grab the camp oven, Bushy?
Yep.
Right, put it there, mate. And we put it down there like that. And to finish it off, just to get that little bit of browning on the top,
Yep.
just, old secret, just a sprinkle of milk on the top. A few coals on the bottom, like that.
Righto. Is that enough?
That's enough, mate. You whack that on the bottom. And the other thing, just to finish it, we need a few coals on the top. Okay?
Now, how long do we have to wait until the damper extraordinaire appears?
About 20-25 minutes, mate.
Right, is that all?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, thanks to the wonders of television, 20 minutes has passed,
Okay, give us a look.
There we go, mate. Have a look at
A beautiful thing. Well, there you have it. U-Butte Neil McLeod damper. Now, if Neil's mum's out there, I don't think this is going to take the title away from your boiled fruitcake, but it's pretty damn good.
it. Well, Bushy, you haven't got anything else. Flour and water, not too bad.
We might just leave this pair of buffheads chewing on their damper and consider where we can store the leftovers if we want to keep them nice and fresh. As far as I'm concerned, one of the most important things to your comfort and general well-being when you're out on the water fishing, especially in tropical areas, is being able to keep your food and drink cold and also look after your catch. Well, I'll tell you what, Coleman have taken care of that with their 60-quart wet and dry cooler with wheels. Just have a look at this beauty. What I love about it is that when you open it, it's divided into two separate compartments. Now, I've caught a couple of mackerel this morning. I've got them in here in an ice slurry, which is a mixture of ice and seawater. I've also got my bait in there, so it's all wet and pretty yucky in that side. But over in this separate compartment here to the side, I've got my drinks. I've got some snacks, I've got lunch down in the bottom there, some sandwiches in a plastic bag, and it's all divided from the fish and the bait. Now I reckon that is a really nifty idea, and if you like, during the day you can just open the food and drink side of the container and not have to open your main section where all your ice is and make it thaw out. So you come home at the end of the day with your catch in top condition and you've been able to eat your meal, have your drink without having to smell fish all day long. What a brilliant idea. But it doesn't just end there. There's 4 really deep cup holders here on top of the cooler. You can put your cans of soft drink in them or your cups or whatever and they won't fall over, even in a little bit of swell. And as I said, it's got wheels, so at the end of the day you just pick it up, tow it up the jetty or along the beach, and you don't have to lift that massive weight up until you get to the car. I tell you what, these people at Coleman, they know what they're doing. Next week we shuffle down the coast a bit to one of Western Australia's worst kept secrets, Coral Bay. I'll catch you then. I've got to tell you, for anyone who reckons that marine reserves and sanctuaries don't work and don't allow fish to breed up and live unmolested, you've only got to look at somewhere like this where you're not allowed to fish. And believe me, if you're allowed to fish, Bushy and I'd have our lines in there by now.